From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
You know what?
What?
I've been thinking about this Sentinel system.
Yeah. Tell me about the Sentinel system.
So what I was thinking was, we have the one car that's got the aim dash that's slowing us down. Because installing the aim dash is actually, it probably is easy, but it's quite hard the first time. And we haven't figured that out yet. The Sentinel system is really easy to set up. So what I was thinking was, why don't we put it in the Lemons car? And we'll worry about the aim data information separately. And we'll kind of break it down into a project. Because then we'd have the motorsports video system that we really, really want, and we'd be able to stream it. We just won't have the data inside, but we have the data outside, so we can combine them later. But I think that's a really good solution.
So what does this Sentinel system do?
Well, if it had the aim data, it would have all the data on the screen, and you could see all their telemetry and everything live. But we'd be able to not only record it for viewing after the race, but we could actually watch our car during the race.
Ooh, like on the monitor and everything?
On a monitor, if you were at home and I was at a track, or if you were at the track and I was at home, depends on who gets the short straw, but we'd be able to watch each other.
It's something I've always wanted to do.
And you know what? If you're driving, you know what you can do on the Sentinel system?
What's that?
You can communicate to me with your hands, and I can't do a thing about it.
Even better.
So, if you need to give a wave or a Jersey wave, whatever you need, we could save it and see it on the screen. And then you can have up to 3 different cameras, and it'll have picture in picture. You'll have the basic main shot out the front window, and then 2 cameras where you put them wherever you want. One could be on the driver, or one could be on the rear view. It's kind of cool.
Then we can upload it onto YouTube.
We could bore millions of people on YouTube.
I love it.
All right. Very well. You know what the only downside I see about this?
What?
Your mom and my mom are going to be panic stricken the entire weekend watching this thing to see if everything's going well.
This is true.
We probably shouldn't tell them.
I like the idea of having a Sentinel.
Well, luckily we have maybe 2. Depends on how things go. We're going to try. All right. That sounds like a plan. That's the project. We got to get that ready for the next race.
Sounds great.
All right. Very well. Thank you, ma'am. Dominating with Dawson. We've got questions. We've got people who want to know. They've got a new car. Ben.
Well, I've got questions too. Let's get after it.
Okay. So they've got a new car, and they want to know, how do you think that they should work on and progress the car? How they should address weak links? How should they think about tuning the car and dialing in the car, and as opposed to just thinking, wow, I was slow, it must be me. Sometimes it's the car.
I got you. So let me make sure all of us are imagining the same scenario. Are we talking about somebody who is buying a car with the aim of getting into track driving and then developing it from there?
Yeah, track driving, or even taking it straight into racing. They've got a car, and maybe it's their first time going out, and they could be at a HPD track day, or they could be at their first race, and they're trying to take the car from A to B to C to whatever, because you're never done. So I mean, it's
right. So, but from what it sounds like you're describing to me, it sounds like this entrant is going to want to know some things about what's going to make the car faster,
or
what's going to
easier to handle
probably
or whatever.
what's going to make it stand up to the rigors of life on course at speed. What's going to make it more reliable, what can make maintenance a little simpler. And to that I say, friend, whatever you're about to do with that Corvette, Miata, Cayman, some other nerdy has done it before and has been kind enough to document every second of it with pictures on the internet and say, hey, here's what I found. This thing gets flaky and falls apart if you leave that stock reservoir tank. So my answer here, as it so often is, because I'm an all-day dum-dum, if I can remind everybody, and I don't know jack about anything, but every time I've gotten into a new platform or a new car, I immediately go try to find some consensus on internet forums and YouTube videos about, when it comes to taking it apart. There's always some kid on YouTube who show you how to take every single part of your car apart. I did that when I was stripping out this E46. I just went to step by step from some guy on YouTube. So instead of me trying to scope it out and figure out where to go, I just let this kid go, the bolt here, the bolt here, the bolt here, and I just go do it. When it comes to kind of tearing a car down or even finding what weaknesses there are, what things you're going to need to be paying attention to, I'll just go to some kind of credible forum and I'll read about it. And I won't take the first opinion I get at face value. But once I've heard several credible nerds say the same thing about a car, I'll say, hey, maybe that reservoir, maybe that fluid reservoir, I probably should replace that one with the aluminum when it's legal for my class because everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'll usually start.
I hear you. I understand. I see the logic. I see the wisdom. Vicki, we didn't do that.
Nope. I do a lot with YouTube.
Not when we first started.
No, I didn't know anything first started. It wasn't until we started tearing that our truck apart that time with Alan. But I mean, even then he was doing some YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I know.
But,
that's
and it wasn't
great.
until after that I'm like, everything you need to know can be found in the forums and YouTube to solve problems.
Thank God for people who are willing to do the work and then document it. And I got to say, I don't always end up agreeing with the video or the advice that I find, but a lot of times it's a good waypoint into finding out what I'm going to figure out. Sometimes there'll be a video and I watch and I'm like, oh, he did that, but I ended up not need to do that, and my thing still worked out okay. So sometimes we just have a slightly different process, but as long as it's anything that's illuminating of the process at all is going to help me, because I'm always going to be going in fully dark, not knowing what the hell I'm doing. So I don't know. I'm always grateful for people who are willing to do it and document it. And I call them nerds, but in the most loving way. I mean,
no, of course. They're nerds their own way. And we love
never figure it out. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for those that do that, because you help people like me.
We can't say a whole lot since we've put out like 1,000 hours of podcasts, so it's not.
Well, but I just also say that sort of with an eye towards saying, like, I never begrudge these people when they're a little bit wrong, and then I find out through the process that, like, oh, you could do it without this step, or I needed to add this little thing to make it work a little bit better. But I just say these people they're great for kind of giving you sort of waypoints and guideposts for what you're doing, at least getting into the project. So that's my thing is, I'll try to find out all the kind of dirt I can find out on the internet about the car platform I've just fixed. And then, if this thing is a potential problem, then, look at the endeavor you're about to take the car on. Like, if you're about to build it for a spec class and people are like, oh man, this thing doesn't build any power, what you need to do is throw this set of cams in there. Well, go read the rules to your class and find out whether it's legal to throw a set of cams. If you're like, I've always wanted to get this particular BMW motor and throw these Schrick cams in there, and then this thing is going to be perfect. And if your heart is set on this particular, you know what I mean. I'm just using an example, but if your heart is set on a particular trick setup that you want to do with this car, make sure it's legal for the path you're intending to head in. And if it's not, and you still want to go with that, find something else to do with the car. But I think it's important to be intentional about finding out what the potential pitfalls with a vehicle platform are, and also understanding that the ways that you can mitigate them or address them, understand how they fit in with what you're planning on doing. If you think, oh, everything with this Honda, blah, 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 would be perfect with this set of coilover shocks. And then it turns out that the thing you wanted to go do with it, this super well subscribed class in your region, doesn't allow that, then you're not going to be happy with the way the car does on, whatever you are allowed to do, like sport shocks and, standard suspension geometry, whatever it is. I'm kind of just throwing some jargon out there, but, I think it's important to find out from a legality and reliability standpoint, and have a good idea of that before you've blown a ton of money on, shock tower stabilizers that aren't legal.
Mm-hmm. Miss Vicki, Miss Jen?
Yes.
What do you think?
Jen's over there just like,
Jennifer's not quite there yet. Although Jennifer is very, very good at livery. Damn, girl gets fired up on livery.
That's awesome.
We only have 4 to do, so she better be fired up.
I know. She's going to be coming up a lot more now. But, yeah, you are.
Does she know that?
So, no, Jennifer is very good with livery. So we've actually
sand and
no, but what I'm saying is that, I mean, us trying to put that together, the creative process, but we've had to go online and figure out how to do deliveries also, how to properly do all that. And of course, again, it's just the forums. Anytime you need something, that's what you got to do. You got to go. And friends that know stuff.
That's the one I was trying to get to.
Friends that know stuff. I phone a friend quite frequently.
So if I were to advise the younger me who was getting into this when we started, I would say, do your brake pads, do your brake fluid, and leave it alone. Like any safety stuff you need, right? Leave it alone because you don't know what you want. You don't know what to do. And you're going to meet friends, soon to be friends, who are going to be able to help you and keep you from doing the dumb things and wasting lots of time and money because they want to see you out there having fun with them. So that's kind of where I would go.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I agree too. I think if you're talking about like specific advice you give somebody that were just kind of sitting down with the car for the first time, like, what did I do with this thing for my first track day? You're right. Like just pads and fluid and go see what's up out at the track, kind of take it from there. But I would just repeat one more time, be careful about what you blow your money on. If the car is eventually headed for this thing and you just put a big supercharger on it, that's not legal for you. Hopefully to eventually want to go. I'm just saying it could be counterproductive to do a bunch of mods on your car that you'd have to undo.
You mean like having a stage 2 turbocharged Miata and getting stuck not knowing what to do with it once we have it?
Oh, we could find something to do with that thing.
Miss Vicki.
Add a second fuel tank and go race endurance racing with it.
We could. So while we're here, one of the things that bothered me when we were first starting off was everybody would say, just go to the forums. And I didn't know where they were or which ones were what. Can we actually say what a couple of them are just for the like GRM forum?
No, but
what was that then?
I think he sat on something or he started to deflate or something. I don't know what happened there.
No, it's funny. Like for me, there was in my years of the Miata, I used to always kind of just lurk on it's called something different now, but it used to be called the Spec Miata forums, because I was eventually thinking that my car was going to end up as a Spec Miata. So I just kind of always paid attention to, what people talked about there and how they fix this and how they fix that. But, in general, I think one of the quickest ways to find good information by people who likely have some quality experience with your car is to use the chassis code, like E30, E46 for BMW. So if you say if I'm looking for a specific problem, I'll say E46 rough idle or something like that. That's going to take you to a forum that's just about E46s. I think I started to say one, but I'm not even sure it's a good one. But yeah, so what's the chassis code of your Honda? Is it an EG
Civic? Yeah.
Yeah. So you got an EG Civic. So instead of saying, you're not going to find a good forum that you can kind of rely on by saying 94 Civic problem.
Right.
That's going to take you to some more generic internet answers. Like you might find a Quora or something like that. But if you put in EG Civic cold start problems or something like that, that's going to take you to some forums. And once I get to where I see a few different forum names, that's when I start kind of hopping from one to the other. And And I should say, like, my whole reliance on forums is it's kind of a dark art. I don't know exactly how to tell anybody to do it, but for me, usually it's a little more time consuming, but I try to find a little bit of consensus between people who don't sound like it's their first day in the parts store. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would add to that is you can do engine codes, like on the Honda, it's D16.
Yeah, totally.
Y.
Yeah.
S54.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So if you need to narrow it down to your specific engine, like if you put in like K20 or whatever, yes, definitely chassis code, engine code, that kind of stuff is going to drill you down to you real nerds talking about real problems that they're having and how they fixed it, rather than getting you like a Yahoo Answers post. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And then the only other thing, the caution I would say is make sure that the forum or the thread within the forum is talking about something related to what you're looking to do. Like you don't want to get endurance racing. You're not going to be looking at the guy who's got the 1200 horsepower K20 engine, because he's doing drag racing.
Yes. Yeah. Pay attention to context a little bit. You're for sure right about that.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you start reading the thread and realize like, oh, this isn't exactly about what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to waste half. I read all these, bail on it. Mm-hmm. You don't owe anybody on these things of your time, but they're a good resource if you can kind of get a little bit of agreement and figure out, okay, I'm going to try this next. Oh, beat it with the sledgehammer. All right, I've seen 3 people say hit it as hard as I can with the sledgehammer. So I'll see y'all in 5-10 minutes.
And we cannot and will not go and end this episode without Vicki citing her favorite YouTube channel for learning basics of car maintenance and fixing. Former podcast guest,
Chris Fix.
All right, cool.
Chris Fix has, if he covers it well.
Check him out.
I think when Chris does it, he kind of breaks it down into almost like a layman's.
Mm-hmm.
It's just simple. A lot of the BS is taken out of it. A lot of the over explaining, and just get to the nuts and bolts of it. Oh, look what I did there.
Nice.
I really prefer it when they'll break it down into layman's terms, so much more than Siemens terms. For me.
That's right.
Yeah, I hate when people go overboard. Dad joke quota fulfilled for this episode.
Yeah, but sometimes when you do go into the forums, or when you do go onto YouTube, sometimes you do come across people that are very long-winded, and sometimes you just don't need it. You just want the meat and potatoes of it. Let's just get right to it.
It took them a long time to figure it out, so it's going to take you a long time to get to how to deal with it.
Gonna share your journey.
That's right.
All right, so that's our tips. If anybody's got any good forums, if anybody's got some good YouTube channels, we'd love to publish them. That would be quite fun. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I've got like 60 on my YouTube subscriptions, which drives Vicki absolutely crazy. But I got to learn somewhere.
Oh, every night.
Oh, do you guys share an account?
No.
Is it like one of those Facebook accounts? It's like it's Bill and Vicki Fisher.
Yeah, right.
No, it's just that she sees me every night watching YouTube, and she's like, "Oh God."
He's very informed. He doesn't actually apply it, but he's definitely informed.
I knew I shouldn't have hesitated. I could have got out of this episode without the shot, but no. Waited too long.
You can cut that out.
Yeah, I think so. I think that one, I might edit that one. Yeah. All right, very well.
Staying in.
I got to keep the Wilson sisters out of the same room. That's what's got to happen. Very well. Next episode on Dominator Dawson coming to you soon for the same low price, $0. Thank you.
Thank you.